I made the mistake of joining a vegan group on Facebook and it was just filled with so much hatred towards people who eat meat. Ex-vegans, why did you stop being vegan? Vegan for 5 years. Got married to construction worker. I don't know how to cook anything but tempeh. Husband, in honeymoon bliss, never complains about eating tofu stir fry for 3 weeks straight. One day I come home early and he is there. He has fried a steak. He was supposed to be at work. It got rained out, he says. He tries to hide steak, ends up confessing that he constantly eats meat in secret and wasn't expecting me home. He cries, says he's sorry but can't go on like this much long. His muscle children will starve. Also weightlifter. I say okay, his life is more important than a chicken's. I call my grandma. She teaches me how to cook. We live happily ever after in meat and cheese heaven. I was 16 to 21 years old when I was a vegan. My husband and I got married having previously never lived together. He started to be vegan when we were engaged because he knew it was important to me. And it was. He tried for about 2 or 3 months. I knew it was hard for him because he talked about cheese a lot. We were university students at the time and super poor. I made all the meals and packed them for school and he did the housework, like dishes and laundry as a division of labor. I never learned to cook because I didn't care to learn. I made a lot of pasta and like I said, so I could boil water. So yep. Anyways, I didn't eat the steak that day. We had a long drawn out fight that lasted about a week about what to do. So at first we did have separate meals but it was too expensive. And I very slowly switched over. Why? Because I wanted to and it was easier. First it was fish, then dairy, then poultry. I never took red meat back. My grandma taught me how to cook over the phone over a period of 6 years. I had an eating disorder, recovery for 4 years, and could not deal with how much I was still thinking about food and nutrition. I am not implying a link between veganism and eating disorders. There very well may be one. However, I don't know enough, because I have not read the research. I pretended to be vegan to avoid eating, yes. But after my hospitalization and on the road to recovery, I tried veganism in an attempt to bridge the gap between the recovery everyone wanted for me and the doubts I had deep down were about me recovering or whether I really deserved to. My entire life revolved around food. Going somewhere last minute, go to bring vegan snacks. Going out with friends for dinner, have to play the "can I eat this" game. Every day was deciding what to eat or cook or buy. I met a meat eater, slowly went from vegan to vegetarian to meat eater. I don't regret it. I have significantly more free time now. I was vegan until I realized that all of the food waste at my job, at friends' places, etc. does not lessen by me not being willing to eat it. If my friend offers me his extra nuggets, me refusing doesn't help. It doesn't unnugget and revive the chicken. It just means perfectly good food goes in the trash because my friend was full. So now I will eat animal products, but I won't buy them, and I only eat them if they will otherwise go to waste. I also eat a bite of meat occasionally when I haven't in a while, to make sure my body can still process it without making me sick. But I don't buy those. I take them off my friend's or partner's plate. I also have eating disordered tendencies, though I don't have anything bad enough to require medical help, and restricting my diet that much was doing really bad things to my mental health. I'll also use my second-hand leather wallet, but when it's worn out I won't buy another leather one. I'm allergic to too many foods. If I cut out everything I am allergic to, and everything I couldn't eat because I'm vegan, I would be eating very sad and poor meals for the rest of my life. Someone replied, I'm not allergic, but have a restricted diet for medical reasons. No spinach, no berries, no nuts, no tofu, no chocolate, on and on. You know what I can eat, any and all meats, and dairy, and eggs. Also breads and carbs. So if I went vegan, I'd be eating the same 5 fruits and veggies every day and a ton of pasta, always being hungry and overeating and feeling tired because the nutrition would be poor. Sorry animals, you're very cute and I love you all, but I'm still going to eat you. Was visiting a foreign country, Japan, and staying with a family. I didn't want to be rude and not eat their cooking, and I didn't want them to have to go out of their way for my diet. So I ate meat there and that kind of ended it. I still don't eat much meat and eat a lot of vegan food, but I'm not a vegan. It was too hard, too expensive, and I didn't even want to be in the first place. While I'm vegetarian and have been for almost 10 years, I had no ambitions of going vegan because I knew it was too difficult of a lifestyle change for my lazy butt. But when my mom was diagnosed with diabetes, she read on some website that veganism would cure her diabetes forever. I think what it might have meant is veganism can help with weight loss and the generation of healthier dietary habits which can lessen diabetes symptoms and perhaps even halt the disease's progress. But who knows for sure. All she got out of it was go vegan and you'll be fixed. So she decided to go vegan, and everyone in the house had to too, to support her and not tempt her back onto the meat and dairy diet that was going to murder her. Did we want her to die? No? Good. Then chuck that ice cream in the trash. It's killing your mother. But since no one else in the family wanted to go vegan, she decided to ease us into it by making mac and cheese. Now, my mother is the type of woman who buys those fix it and forget it cookbooks, who sees nothing wrong with so-called dump meals, and for whom meal planning or meal prep is too much work. Anything that takes longer than 15 minutes to prep is too involved. Most of what I ate growing up was casserole. She also sees nothing wrong with recipes involving the phrase 1 cup of mayonnaise. Additionally, at this point, she was choosing to work 80-hour work weeks because her marriage was, and still is, falling apart, and ignoring it was, and still is, her method of dealing with it. So, in short, she hates cooking. She hates cooking things that take a long time, and she has no time to cook even if she actually enjoyed it. That's the kind of person we're dealing with here. And she recruited me, the person she gave up on teaching to cook because I asked too many questions such as how long do I cook a green bean or am I holding the knife right, to help her with her new dietary plan. So, mac and cheese. The cheese sauce recipe we used was from the Veganomicon, which is a great cookbook, not dissing it at all, and took 45 minutes to make on its own. It also required things we had never heard of, like nutritional yeast. So at noon on a Sunday we go out to find this bizarre yeasty foodstuff with the intention of making it for dinner that night. 3 stores later and we finally landed at Whole Foods, which had our apparently nutrient-dense yeast. While we were there we decided, hey, let's just buy everything else for the rest of the meal. The mac and cheese was to be a side dish and we were going to get some vegan sausage to go along with it as the main course, so we got some of that, along with the ingredients we didn't have on hand at home, and some salad in case sausage and yeasty noodles wasn't enough to fill us. I think our bill was $30. So, thoroughly exhausted, we get home and realize that if we want to eat tonight, we better get started on that cheese. Instead, mom sits down to watch TV and falls asleep, and refuses to get up every time I try to make her so we can get started on dinner. Finally rouse her from sleep at 5:30 and we start making dinner. Again, cheese takes 45 minutes, just for itself. Actually ended up taking us almost twice that long because we kept messing the recipe up and having to start over. Finally get the recipe right and get the mac and cheese made. But now we've got to cook the sausages and make the salad. End up burning the sausages and honestly we are so tired of being in the kitchen that we just say F it and call my dad and brother to dinner with nothing but a bowl of mac and cheese for dinner because we are done. It is not tasty. I have blocked the taste from my mind but I do remember only being able to get a few bites down. My dad and brother are about the same and make hasty retreats from the dinner table. The kitchen is absolutely filthy and it takes us almost an hour to get it back in order. And by this point I am starving. But all we have is nasty noodles and a chunky fake cheese sauce. Mum looks at me, asks me if I'm hungry. I say no because I'm worried she'll make me eat those sad noodles. Then she says the blessed words, okay, I was going to call out for pizza because I'm starving, but if you aren't hungry then I'll find something. Vegetarian for 12 years, vegan for 2.5, went back to vegetarian last winter. There are many delicious vegan food options and I found a vegan diet generally improved my health. However, I have a busy schedule and don't always get time to prepare my own meals or the opportunity to make the call about where I eat and what's on the menu. Unfortunately, while lacto and vegetarianism is pretty widely accepted and recognized at this point, there are still a lot of restaurants, families and groups that do not understand a vegan needs more to eat than plain salad with dry toast. These types of situations would happen pretty regularly, leaving me hangry. So, it's just easier for everyone if I accept some random dairy or egg now and then, until the vegan revolution comes, when I'll bust out the flag and march alongside my plant-nourished comrades once more. I was vegan for 6 years. I got drunk at a friend's wedding and took a bunch of cheese rolls underneath a table and ate them, in a secret drunken stupor, smearing cheese and butter all over my bridesmaid's dress. It was such a happy moment in my life and made me realize I had not been enjoying food for a long time. I eat everything now. In short, a wider understanding of our national and global food systems. Also, I like the logic of, if you want farm animals to be treated humanely, you should support the people that are raising them humanely, not just stop supporting anyone in the market. If you want car companies to make more environmentally friendly cars, you don't just start riding bikes until the solution magically comes up. It would be more helpful to fund the people that are trying their best to achieve that goal and help them further that agenda. So by voting with my dollar, buying animal products that meet my standards for ethical farming practices, or hunting and fishing, I'm helping to tell the world that I don't support current cattle raising standards, so they will have tougher competition until they raise their standards of treatment. Playing the Is It Vegan Friendly game was easy and enjoyable at first, but over time it became more and more of a hassle. Going out to eat food in places was the worst. If I went to a restaurant I would have to eat the dry bread and eat basic foods, salads, soups, rice. I made the mistake of joining a vegan group on Facebook and it was just filled with so much hatred to people who eat meat, frequently calling them carnies, carnivores, and monsters, while acting superior. Oh, we're morally right so we can insult anyone. I felt disgust for the vocal side of the community. Over time, it became an uphill battle to remain vegan and stick with my morals, which I was slowly becoming unsure of if my heart was truly in it. I gradually started eating animal products again, going vegetarian, before consuming meat once more. For the most part, vegan is not difficult once you know what you can and can't eat. I imagine it's similar to having an allergy, but nowhere near as serious. My husband and I were both vegan, so we were raising our kids like that by default. We would be at birthday parties and my kids started to get to the point where they wanted the pizza and the cake, and I just wanted them to be able to be somewhat normal. Also, I saw people all around me with their kids eating very strict paleo, etc. and being obsessive with food. I worried that sort of diet, or, similarly, strict veganism might also put them at risk to be orthorexic. So, again, I just wanted them to be semi-normal. We transitioned to a vegetarian diet, and in the city that we live in, there are always lots of options. 2 of my kids are old enough now to choose and they like being vegetarian and will sometimes choose vegan meals. Until past a few years, I was a vegan whole my life. Vegan story. I was a vegan because of my early family background of being highly religious and considered non-veg habits almost a sin. It was morally wrong to do so and hence it was established that way for us. I didn't rebel and was a faithful worshipper of the god. Just to be clear, I am 23 years old Indian Hindu from New Delhi. Non-vegan story. As we became older we realized all these morals and habits are coming from a person who is being hailed by my family as their god. It's commonplace here. So there was this person deciding how I am supposed to live and be accepted as it is with no doubt or question. Fast forward my higher secondary school. I failed miserably to qualify the exam I ever dreamed of. That rage drove me to dump all these BS and get on with life as I wanted to be, since I am a happy non-vegan. As a teen I had an eating disorder which I, mostly, grew out of over the past 3-4 years. I turned vegan for the right reasons, but constantly checking food labels for ingredients, worrying about nutrition and the anxiety associated with going to restaurants made me feel like I was falling back into anorexia. I still eat consciously, but putting myself into the vegan box was too much for my mental health. I'd read somewhere that you rarely if ever see fat vegetarians and I was overweight. Before I went vegetarian, I was drinking about 2 gallons of milk a week, but I was mildly lactose intolerant because it made me fart a lot. After I stopped eating meat the farting went away. That was unexpected. Then I had a coworker who was ranting about the evils of dairy products, so I gave up dairy products. I was already not eating eggs, so at that point I became vegan. I was also careful to not eat anything with added sugar and everything was low fat, no frying, etc. I went from 240 pounds to around 200. The weight loss wasn't fast but it was definitely steady. But I don't think the weight loss was from being vegan but rather a side effect of eating being so boring that I was only eating in order to not be hungry, not for any enjoyment or pleasure. And giving up candy and pastries no doubt helped. I stopped because I'd lost sufficient weight and it was boring. I definitely never felt healthier, which is one of the claims you hear a lot from vegans and vegetarians. As far as I know, there's never been any valid scientific proof that eating meat in a normal diet makes you less healthy. Trying to do 2,500 to 3,000 cal a day while lifting is just a pain in the butt to do vegan. It can be done, but a huge pain and a ton of prep. Easier to stay mostly whole grain and add in chicken and fish. I've seen guys like John Venus do some amazing stuff, but it's just way too much work for that amount of calories. Also, vegans can be very annoying. If I have leather that I've had for years, the cow is dead and gone. Me wearing it now, or not wearing it, won't change that. It just seemed like every possible chance to soapbox was taken, and if I didn't, I now had two sides of an argument yelling at me. Although I am plagued by guilt of the animals I'm hurting, not bees though. Eating honey is good for bees. I have an eating disorder and celiacs, and to stay alive, I need to stop eating a restrictive diet. It became an obsession to worry about death while eating. First I didn't eat pigs because pigs are intelligent and empathetic beings, then decided against anything that had a brain. Then when I cut out eggs and dairy, I realized that everything I ate caused something to suffer through slave labor, through destruction of habitat, reduction in crop diversity, etc. Even eating quinoa takes resources away from indigenous populations that rely on the food to live. Part of my eating disorder was not only the guilt in thinking I was getting fat, but that I was hurting things by merely existing, by sustaining myself. I went insane. My life became unlivable and I literally became suicidal because I couldn't stop stressing over food. I didn't eat for 5 days when I was at my worst. Then on the 5th day I confided in a friend about my irrational concerns and he called 911. I went to the hospital. Ever since then has been a journey to get better. I'm not meant to restrict myself anymore. With celiacs, the amount of food I can eat is already limited, and my therapist honestly worries about even that life-saving restriction, and how it necessitates an obsession with seeing how the food is prepared and what it is composed of, at the threat of death. Now, in recovery I have vegan friends who attack me with videos of animals being tortured, spam me with them, and I can't explain how much it hurts to see, but to stay alive I can't do it. The comment of the day is from Alexander A. Alexander wrote, "Download The Thieves Are to Blame for Ruining Creativity. Start buying CDs to revive music." Well, Alexander, I think you need to let the 90s and early 2000s go. No one downloads music anymore. People stream music, just like you streamed this video, but feel free to buy my video on a DVD for $9.99. It really helps my creativity. Thanks for listening to Radio Reddit. Hit the subscribe button and activate that notification bell for more videos like this. And please let me know if you are a vegan, vegetarian, or even a fruitarian.